What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and if you follow the channel, you know that I've been a door-to-door sales rep for the last 10 plus years. It's what's given me the opportunity that I have to be able to purchase real estate because I've made incredible money knocking doors and selling pest control. Now, if you follow the channel, you also know that I manage over 500 door-to-door sales reps. And what happens when you knock doors and try to sell people pest control is, well, pretty much anything can happen. I've had multiple people pull guns on me. I've had people chase me down. I've had people grab me. I've had people physically take my possession on the doors. But the one thing that happens probably more than anything else is you have people call the cops on you. Because a lot of times when you're out there knocking doors, people are suspicious. They're worried that you're maybe scouting out their house to come back later and rob them, or you're worried that you're up to no good. And a lot of times people are just jerks. They want to call the cops because they've got nothing better to do. And those people suck, but it's just part of the job. Now, this job is incredible, so don't blow this out of proportion, but also this story needed to be shared because people sometimes suck, but cops sometimes suck as well. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we need to defund the police. As a matter of fact, I lean the opposite direction. I believe that there are incredible police officers out there. However, I also believe that they deserve to be paid better, but they also need to be trained better. We really need more, especially for certain police forces in certain areas, because the reality is, here where I live in Idaho Falls, Idaho, the police are awesome. And I believe that the people back them and help them and give them what they need. But even here, we need some work. And I know that, well, I'm not going to share how I know that. But when you go into other cities and certain cities that I've been in, the police really are not trained properly. And a lot of times they get away with a lot more than they should. So again, please don't blow this out of proportion. I'm not saying anything negative towards police, but I do believe that when specific police officers do things that they shouldn't, they need to be called out, and we as a society need to correct it. Now, that doesn't mean, again, saying down with the police. It means we should probably spend more money and fix these problems because we need good police officers. I'm so grateful that I can call, and the vast majority of the time I'm going to get a good police officer. But in this certain scenario, someone called the police and they showed up to interact with my sales rep, and it was a bad police officer. And the unfortunate thing is, with our legal system, it's really hard to have something happen to bad police officers when you're just a lowly door-to-door sales rep. And so the one way I thought I could take a shot back at this specific police officer is by putting his name out there and letting this sales rep share his story. Now, I will say this before I roll the tape. This sales rep did things wrong. I tell all of my sales reps, anytime a police officer approaches, you do whatever they want. You listen to them. If they tell you to leave, you leave. You do whatever they're saying, even if it is wrong, because it is not worth it to get into a situation like this with the police. This sales rep was really frustrated because he's a very good sales rep. He had the proper licensing. He was doing things the right way, and this police officer was not. And so he gave the police officer a little bit of lip, and he paid dearly for it. And so I want you to watch this video. And if you live in this area, or even if you don't, I hope you share this video so that this specific police officer gets what he deserves. Because as you've seen, a lot of times when things get out to the public, then justice is served properly. For this specific sales rep, he ended up spending the night in jail after being physically attacked, literally beat up by this police officer for absolutely no reason. And it's really, really sad, and it's wrong, and it should have never happened. And so please share this video, and I hope that you learn something from it. More than anything else, I hope that it gets out there because this is so messed up. And unfortunately, this isn't the first time that something like this has happened to one of my sales reps. And I want to do everything in my power so that it doesn't happen again. Now, I know you're going to say, look, he should have just taken it, and you're right. All of my sales reps have been trained to not do this, to just say, look, whatever you say, I'll do, even if it's wrong, I'm gonna do it. But this sales rep still did everything within his rights, and he got totally taken advantage of and literally abused, beaten up by a police officer, and then had to spend the night in jail for nothing. And if you're wondering, yes, all the charges were dropped. Nothing further happened after this when it came to the police side of things because they knew what they did was wrong. However, we're trying to help him take the legal approach against the police officer, and there's so much red tape and so much other crap that he's gonna have to go to. So I've talked too much, and I'm sure there's something I've said that's offended somebody. I don't mean to offend anyone. I just want this story to get out there, and I want bad police officers to stop. And I want good police officers to know I'm so grateful for your service and all that you do for us. And I hope that we as a society take care of you better so that situations like this don't happen, and so that it does make sense for police officers to be police officers. But please, people like this, something needs to happen. Last thing before I show the video, we have tried so hard to get the police officer's name and information, and we have been unable to get it. Like, it is ridiculous how protected he has been. So this is in Harris County, Texas. You're gonna listen to the story and it's gonna make your stomach just churn. It's gonna make you so upset, and it's so messed up. Like, he was assaulted by this police officer, and it's infuriating. So Harris County, share this around. We're gonna do everything we can to try and get the police officer's name, badge, information, all of that. But right now we don't have this, but I really just wanna get this video out there.
Hey, this is Logan. I just want to make a quick video while everything's fresh on my mind here. I just got dropped off at my apartments here. I got picked up from the sheriff station this morning. I was arrested last night about, I want to say 8:30. I was in jail for about 12 hours, maybe more. The short version of it, I was knocking just like I normally do in a regular neighborhood, and a constable cop came up while I was in the middle of a conversation with a future customer, if you'd say, and I had excused myself, which was really embarrassing, having to, be in the middle of a conversation with somebody and say, hold on, let me go talk to the cop real quick and straighten everything out. So I started having a conversation with the guy, and he was just over and over and over again, you're gonna leave now. And I told him I wasn't gonna leave. I showed him my license, that I was allowed to be there. And what really made it turn, I said, let's call the real police out here, and I'll show him the license that I have to be out here. That way we can go our ways, or just make it more official. And he snapped like that, grabbed me by my forearm and tackled me, tripped me, whatever you want to call it, shoved me down onto the driveway. My hand was on the ground, my arms, my hands, forearms, my elbows all bruised up and purple. I don't know if you can see that here. Just shoving me into the driveway. He had his knee on my back, and I'm looking up at the customer like she's cracked the door looking through the glass. It's incredibly embarrassing, and it looks awful. As I'm representing Aptive, and we're getting arrested on the front driveway, and he's telling me that I'm resisting arrest because I can't move. Like, he's pinned me down. I literally can't get my hands behind my back, and gets me up, cuffs me, and starts walking me to the car. And I'm freaking out. I'm panicking. I'm gonna call the supervisor. What's your badge number? What am I being detained for? I'm scared and I'm frustrated about the situation because I know that I'm allowed to be there, and wouldn't answer any of my questions. The only thing he would say is, I'll get the supervisor on the way, and tossed me in the back of the cop car, and God knows how long I had to wait for the supervisor to show up. And whenever he gets back in, I'm trying to figure out what happened. I'm like, well, what did I do wrong? What am I being detained for? And he said, resisting arrest and criminal trespassing. And later goes on to tell me that we get a lot of calls. He said he gets a lot of calls in that area about solicitors knocking on doors. And he says he understands young kids, we're trying to make a living, and sometimes he just ignores the phone call and just lets them keep knocking. But for some reason, I was just, I draw the short straw, and he decided to throw me on the pavement and decided that was the best situation for what was happening there. Just give me a nice couple bruises and scuffs. Anyways, waiting for the supervisor to show up. This guy, he's looking at the car that I was driving, shining a light inside of it, and asking me a handful of questions, I don't know what he's just asking me question after question, trying to figure stuff out. And I wanted to talk to the supervisor. The supervisor shows up, it's the same thing, asks me the questions and doesn't tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'm asking why I'm being detained. He said he's investigating, he'll figure it out why. And the only thing he came up with is criminal trespassing. And so I asked him, I said, we're on public property, we're not in a gated neighborhood, there's no soliciting signs, and I'm licensed to be here even if there was. What am I doing wrong? And he didn't have an answer for it. You're criminal trespassing. And they ended up, they were trying to get anything on me. Like, you don't just get to throw a salesman on the ground and shove him into the driveway and then just get away with it. Like, the guys were looking inside my car trying to see anything. They got me out of the car, grabbed my keys out of my pocket without my permission. I said, do not, because he asked me to put the Segway and my belongings in the car, and I said, I do not want it in there. I said, no thank you, don't want it open. Grab my keys, unlocks it for a supervisor, and they open up the doors, start looking through all my stuff. Checking the entire car out, trying to get anything that they can. I don't know what they're trying to search for. Just anything that they can pin on me. So I'm still confused. I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong. No one's giving me answers for anything. So I'm just sitting in the back of the cop car waiting for someone to give me an answer. They called a tow truck, just give the guys my keys willingly. Like, yeah, go ahead and drive his car. So they just got in the car with no permission. It's not even my car, it's a friend's car. They just got in it and just drove it up the ramp, towed it. And I'm gonna have to pay for that now, which is super awesome. They drove me to the county, the Harris County office, sheriff's office, and I was there and put me in this waiting room with God knows how many other people. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. They just tell me I'm supposed to go get a bond, and I'm supposed to call whoever I want to call. I'm trying to get a hold of lawyers. I'm trying to get a hold of supervisors, anybody I can, just figure out what I'm supposed to do or what I even did wrong. And I was there for, I couldn't tell you how long I was in the waiting room for. They pulled a group of people into the drunk tanks or the holding, whatever you want to call them. We were just sitting there on this concrete floor, these blocks for benches, and there's people that belong there, and I was not one of them. There's people that are twigging out, that are on drugs, withdrawals, yelling and screaming, making me really uncomfortable. And I had to sit there and lay on a concrete floor for hours, just waiting for someone to tell me what I'm doing. Like, no one explained anything. They just said, wait to hear your name. Nothing after that. Finally, the next morning, I get somebody on the phone. I'm like, I need to leave. Like, I need to get out of here. I need to figure out what I did. Like, what is it going to take for me to leave? And finally, my name gets called, and whatever deal they did with some bond, I got released. And my phone's obviously blowing up because no one know where I was. Everyone's been freaking out. I didn't come home. Like, I called Danny, I called my team lead, and I was trying to explain to him the situation that happened. This guy just arrested me, just assaulted me. Like, it was harassment. It was disgusting, and it was completely uncalled for. I'm very frustrated about the situation, but I have very low energy. I got next to no sleep last night, being able to, lay down on a cold concrete floor. I had Chandler calling me. I know he's been out here knocking doors and he had to deal with this situation before with these guys, and I know that they're not going to stop until we get to the bottom of this. No salesman ever deserves to be treated like that. It was absolutely degrading, like getting pressed down into somebody's driveway while they're watching the situation happen. Like, if she takes a picture of me and puts it on a Facebook page or something, like, how is that going to look for me and the company that I represent? And on top of that, the lethal force, like the way that he was treating me was completely uncalled for. Just grabbing me and throwing me around. Like, you can see everything on me, like bruised and swelled and marks on my arms, my elbows, my ankle. Like, dude just tossed me around, throw me in the back of a cop car.
All right, guys, well, that's the video. And if you're like me, you are just infuriated. There's so many things wrong with how the situation went down. And it's really frustrating because we can't get the cop's name, the badge number, the information. All charges were dropped. They released him out of jail. Nothing further happened. They just dropped it. But if we now go after the cop, obviously there's lots of other stuff that could happen. And so we can go after him civilly, but there's so much red tape to go through, and this sales rep would have to go back to Texas consistently to be able to go through the process. And he's a college kid. He made great money in the summer. He's working for us again next year, but he's going back to college. He's going back to live his life in a different state than Texas. And so the thought of trying to relive this over and over and over again and go after this bad cop, it just doesn't make sense. And that's what's so flawed with the system, is it doesn't make sense for the rep to go after him. And so this cop gets away with that, and that's what's wrong. And so I'm gonna do everything I can to try and get his information and get it out there. But as of right now, all we have is this case information that I'm gonna post right here, and the fact that it happened in Harris County. And so I hope this gets shared a bunch, and I hope that Harris County owns up for it. I hope that something happens to this cop, because really that's all he wants. He doesn't want money, he doesn't want the fame, he doesn't want anything else. He just wants something to happen to the cop, and at this point, he's even given up on that, and I just don't want to see that happen. So please share this, and please, if you're a police officer, just be a good police officer. I know your job's hard, and I know you deal with tons of crap people, but in situations like this, you can't let it out on a kid knocking doors, selling pest control.